Welcome back, everybody. Today I am making a terrarium type light. I'm using all natural products, so my trees are going to be pine cones that have been stripped down. My grass is tree moss, or I think lichen. I'm not real sure. Um, and my ground is a piece of clear epoxy resin. I basically just kind of shaped it to give it more. I don't know. Really, it didn't really need to be done. It could have just been scuffed up. But in this project, I decided to use UV resin because I thought it'd be a little bit easier to work with. But I think CA glue's better. Now this here took me quite a while to do, so I've sped it up so we can get through it. But I didn't want to not show this process. Some of these guys gave me a hard time and just didn't. The resin didn't want to cure, and that's why a super glue is always better. It just automatically cures. Here we're almost done. I'm just giving it time. So now I'm bringing you into my resin room. This is where I do all my pouring. That is just hot glue. You gotta glue down everything that you're gonna cast, or else it floats. So even that little piece of resin, I'm guessing would have floated if I didn't glue it down. So what I was showing you there was the piece glued down. That's basically like a yogurt container is all it is. That's what I use to cast in. I can buy a few hundred of them at a time, and they last me a couple of years. Now I'm just mixing some resin up. This resin I poured is a 2-to-1 ratio, so it's quite a bit thinner than some others. I always put it in, no matter what, even if I'm just mixing one container of resin, I always transfer it into another container. That way you get the best mixture of the resin as possible. Now she's going in her little pressure pot there. So this is the next day, and it doesn't look that great. Slowed it down for you here so you can actually see it. I think there was moisture in the pine cones, and that's why all this cracking happened. And the resin's pretty foggy too. It was interesting. I almost didn't continue with the project on that. No, I did actually make another one, um, but I decided just to go ahead because those cracks will give it some character as well. So in this piece, turning this, I put it between two centers. That way, I didn't have any big screw holes into the resin, just a couple little ones. So I'm setting it up so I can grab it with my chuck there on the top. Um, and I did it that way. So now I can actually finish the bottom and get that all ready. And I'll put another insert in the bottom to be able to grab a hold of it and flip it back around. It seems kind of wasteful to have to do that. But in one of my little secrets to making these lights is that I leave the bottom of it rough, and I'll show it here in a minute. But that way you can't see the actual lights inside that are running. It's more of a fogged effect that you get. You still get the same amount of light penetration, but you don't. See there, you can kind of see you. I can't see the individual light bulbs. Just one of my little tricks. So now here I've got it flipped around, getting it all set in there. And from this stage I can shape it and that part will be done. When I'm turning like this, the tools I use are basically I only use the gouge, which that's what that is, and carbides, round tipped carbides. I'm always interested in using new and different tools, but these are my go-to. So that one there that's spraying me in the face with the resin, that's the carbide. And they both work good, both useful tools. Uh, I guess everything just has a learning curve. You just got to figure it out. Trial and error. Ooh, that's horrible. I apologize. I'm basically just filming with my phone, so it's not always the best quality of footage, but I try. One day I'll be able to afford some decent cameras. So now we're getting into the base now. I got the top all finished. This is a chunk of cherry. Yeah, cherry. When I'm carving just wood, I don't even think about using my carbides really, unless it's hard wood like some black locust I'm working right now. That stuff's so hard you can use a carbide all the time. But a softer wood like this cherry, my gouges are where it's at. Oh, another blurry one. I apologize again. Best part of doing this is being able to play with some fire. Got my logo on there. Now I'm finishing the bottom. Another little trick here, the finish I use is Yorkshire grit. And it's basically mineral oil and beeswax. And you see there how I left the inside of the insert covered in in the Yorkshire grit. That's because I found, oh, I'm going to coat this whole thing with resin, and I found that that little bit of that finish inside there makes it so the resin doesn't stick nearly as bad. You can basically like take a chisel or something and just pop it right off. Fitting these two pieces together takes, you want to take your time because one little cut is doubled. So you just take a little sliver at a time, little sliver at a time until it finally fits on there. We're in there. All right, I've got a catch coming up here real soon. I slowed it down so everybody can see it, but I didn't want to hide it, so it's right here. Oh, that hurts. Even somebody like me that's I can't tell you how many bulls I've turned. Um, it still happens. It's just the way it goes. That's the danger of woodworking or working on the lathe, you know. Things happen. So now I'm just finishing up the outside shape, seeing how I want it to look. A little bit of boring sanding. Since I'm coating it with resin, I don't have to sand it super fine grit. Basically, all I do is make sure there's no tear outs. Once the wood looks nice and smooth, that's all I have to do. Here's the hole for my power cord. Now I didn't realize it until making this video and doing all the editing, but my workbench looks horrible. All right, so another one of my little secrets is I paint the inside white. Um, that way all the lights just reflect more. You're just getting more and more light out of it. It's the only time you'll ever see me change the color. All right, this little section, it's kind of long, and I didn't get the best footage here. Like I said, this bench does not show what I'm doing very easily on camera. So I basically sped it up to the point where I'm doing something meaningful and tried to zoom in. This I don't think I zoomed in on this one, but and then I sped it up, went back and forth. So all the lighting in here, I like to solder it all in. That way I don't have to worry about it coming apart or a little joint coming off. It's all hooked together. So this little section of wire is going to go from my controller to the lights, and I'm just pre-soldering each end of the wires, making sure it's all nice and neat. Here, same thing, pre-soldering. It just makes it easier to everything connect if there's just a little bit of solder on there. Now this is my controller here. I'm taking off the wrapping, getting rid of that plug. That's what I was talking about with a connector. You can get things to plug into there, but I don't know. I just don't trust it. So that's what I'm saying. I got the camera all set up in the right spot, but I can't keep my hands there. One day I'll learn how to do this recording thing. All right, time to connect the lights, same way as I did the other side. If I remember right, I had a lot of coffee this morning, so my hands were a little shaky when I was doing this. But it's time to check out, make sure it works, all the different colors work. This here's shrink wrap. I probably don't need to use it, but I'm OCD. I like things to be all night, neat and tidy. I color the end of it because I think the black looks better in the hole than the white, but the white looks better inside the lighting because it's all white. So I'm in a real crossroads with the color of them things. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm dyslexic. It's hard enough. So basically, I'm just CA gluing everything in there. I don't want anything to move. Is my main thing. I don't want the adhesive on the lights to come off after a while. So everything gets glued down and secured and made all nice. So there I'm gluing all the lights down. Then I go back and make sure you can't see that blackness inside the light and around the power hole. It still works. This is where I wish I had another angle. I only have this one angle for this whole time. Here's another trick. So this is getting coated with resin. All you need is a little barrier. Resin doesn't like fight through things. Um, that couple pieces of tape keeps that plug from getting anything in it. It's a different type of resin that I'm using, but it's a lot thicker. It works a lot better for um, coating things. A signature, switch it over. Like I said, that just makes it more consistent. You know, you don't have unmixed resin sticking to the edge of your container if you do that. More likely to have a better cure result. Here I'm just trying to show you like I mean that was only sanded down to 130 grit and right there you can see how much it just instantly becomes transparent again. I was planning on putting this whole thing just right there and letting it sit. At the last minute, I decided to throw it in the pressure pot. And I'm glad I did, but I don't know if I had to. And of course, me being me, I forgot to record taking it out. So here it is. And that's the effect. It also does change colors too, but the white looked really nice in there. All right, well, thank you for watching and have a good day.